to order, but we do have first on the agenda, not consent, goodness, that was a slip. We do have two department head evaluations, and so we will go into an executive session until 9 o'clock and then resume for the regular meeting. So I believe we do need a motion.
Move to go
Second.
into executive.
Or motion by Commissioner Archer, second by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries 3-0. Thanks, Chris. We've already called the meeting to order, but I think
Yeah, a
we
few minutes
should, I know.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we should still do.
Yeah, we,
and all
Got
that.
got a minute. Yeah, about a minute.
well,
Okay, not quite ready yet.
11,
But it's fun to watch them.
No.
If you pretend to stand up, you make the whole crowd stand up. You know that? We can do exercises now. This could be jumping jack time.
33, and
Tell me when it's over.
Yeah.
so I kept hearing 33, and we're just starting here for 33.
So was it raining at your house this morning?
So
A
finally,
little bit.
Boring.
Same here.
How about your place?
Yeah, you've heard the saga of my rain gauge, haven't you? I have a plastic rain gauge on my mailbox, and I would go out there every morning, and my son bought it for me, and I'd go out there and check my rain, and it'd be like, I'm thinking somebody's walking. So we live in a cul-de-sac. Somebody's walking and emptying my rain gauge out. So one day I went out and I picked it up. Well, he bought it for me. So
I'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Morning, everyone. Welcome to the May 16th meeting of the Board of County Commissioners. This is actually a continuation of the meeting we called to order at 8 o'clock. We had some department head evaluations from 8 to 9 o'clock, and then after this meeting, we'll have a few more. So welcome, everyone. Madam Clerk, the first item, please.
first item is item 1, proclamations presentation. Presentation by Shawnee County Parks and Recreation Strategic Marketing Business Division. Marketing Promotion, Caleb Asher, Sprout Communications.
Morning, Commissioners. Mike McLaughlin, Shawnee County Parks and Recreation. About a year ago in March, the county commissioned Sprout Communications to develop both a new branding scheme and a new strategic communications plan, strategic marketing plan for Shawnee County Parks and Recreation. We've been implementing this since it was introduced in July. We introduced the actual brand, and you see the colors here, and you're starting to see them on letterhead, name badges, brochures, etc. This morning, Caleb Asher, the CEO of Sprout Communications, is here to present the strategic marketing plan.
Great.
Go ahead and hand out. Good morning, and thanks for allowing me to come speak this morning. It has really been a pleasure. I think when I was here last, talked about how excited we were to get started on this plan. My team and I, actually Jess and Terrell, worked on the plan as well throughout the last year. Really, we're all from Shawnee County and have kids and enjoy parks and recreation facilities and events, and so this was something that was really important to us to be part of. And so anyway, I wanted to walk through kind of some of the highlights today. As you see in the plan in front of you, there are a number of tactics. There's a lot of kind of information there at the front that gets kind of provides some supporting background information on how we got to where we got. But we'll go through, like I said, at a real high level here. The year in review, we did a lot of research and discovery in the first months, but a lot of that groundwork was laid with the master plan that was underway. We didn't feel a need to recreate a lot of that research because we already had such good foundational data through surveys, collateral, the master plan. So we really dug into that. As Mike mentioned, we started with some brand development last summer so that we could begin getting a new look across Shawnee County. If you'll remember from our last presentation, we talked about we really wanted the new brand to be friendly and bright and exciting, and so that's where we came up with what you see here on the bottom of your screen. What you don't see on the bottom of this one is also the tagline, "Meet You There." As we talked about, as our families, whether we go to the ball field or to Gage Park to ride the train or wherever that might be, we found ourselves always talking about, well, we'll meet you there at this point in time, or let's go out and meet on the trail, or whatever the case might be, so we felt that that was very appropriate for the tagline. The brand launched in July of 2015 during Parks and Recreation Month, as Mike also mentioned, where there were events throughout the community tied to National Parks and Recreation Month. From that point, we updated letterhead, business cards, collateral throughout the course of the year as it's come up has also been updated. Launched the quarterly guide. I think the first guide came out in September and now is on a quarterly rotation. And if you'll remember, we used to have a much larger guide that came out a couple times a year that was kind of a catalog. So our new guide is more like a bit of a magazine. The key piece there is for engagement with the community, to talk about some of the exciting things that are happening in the coming months, and then also listing a place to list all of the activities and the courses within the department. Engagement, there have been a couple of other engagement activities. As you'll see in the plan, engagement really is key as we move forward. So how do we get the community involved and excited, and not only those within Shawnee County, but how do we get people coming into Shawnee County from the surrounding areas, which can also be a revenue increaser. And then, of course, strategic marketing plan, we wrapped that back in March, and so we're looking forward to go over that at a high level today. You got that in front of you. One of the things that we started with, as you know, there's a mission and a vision statement for Shawnee County Parks and Recreation, and so we wanted to also develop a brand positioning statement, which really ties everything back to what we're doing with the marketing plan and the branding. And we say that Shawnee County Parks and Recreation serves as the quality of life department for the county and surrounding areas. It's where we meet to enjoy gatherings with family and friends, getting healthy in nature, excitement at sporting events, and opportunities to learn new skills. There's a lot to do in this friendly environment, so pick something and we'll meet you there. So everything that we do with our marketing campaign ties back to this statement. One of the first things that we wanted to look at is really, when we boil all of this down, what are 3 key objectives that we want to work on? And those come back to awareness, community engagement, and revenue generation. So everything that we do through this marketing plan does tie back to one of those 3 things. And you'll see later on that there's a key in the back that kind of shows you, as we provide tactics and timelines, what we felt should tie back to these areas. Awareness really is, it's hard to measure, but it's one of those things where we want to make sure, and I think the master plan showed this, and a lot of the surveys said that people just didn't understand or realize how many great things there were to do here. And so that's why awareness was so key to be one of these marketing objectives. For best results, we think that there's some good baseline data that we should be continuing to gather through 2016 through web engagement, through other engagement at classes and such, and then take a look at how that increases over the next year or 2. Community engagement. Engagement, we talk a lot about this in social media. It's not how many likes or how many people you're showing up. It's how many of those people are telling others about the great things to do and see here, and how many people are coming back and signing their kids up and their friends to play ball and to take a class or whatever the case may be there. So we really believe that there's some great opportunity, and you'll see in our target markets here shortly where that engagement can occur. And then revenue generation, we believe that if we're doing 1 and 2 right, that number 3 will quickly follow. And we think there's some really great opportunity for increase in revenues, whether that's through partnerships, sponsorships. Revenue generation doesn't always mean by increasing fees and those types of things, but I think we can maybe be smarter in how we go after some of those dollars, whether it's through partnerships, sponsorships, or increasing participation and engagement at some of the things that are happening now. Our target markets, so in addition to our 3 objectives, we wanted to really focus on, not that we won't reach everyone, we want everyone coming in and enjoying our parks and recreation facilities, but we really felt like there were 3 areas that we really wanted to pay special attention to. One of those being young professionals. I spent a good portion of my career at the Kansas Department of Commerce, so understanding kind of how to recruit people in and retain people And frankly, based on that, what we have here in Shawnee County is something, that quality of life that gets created in our community really is key to business recruitment and retention and bringing in young professionals. They are attracted to communities with vibrant recreation opportunities and outdoor activities. That's something that we do know. And we think that there's some real opportunity here to increase that engagement and also the revenues with that target. Families, they're currently key consumers, and so what I think that is important to see there is there is some untapped potential in this category for greater engagement and awareness. And so one of those things are that when we were doing our research, we would find that people were using parks and recreation facilities and didn't even realize it. So they would say, oh, we're signed up here and we're going to do this, and then I'd start to talk about, oh yeah, that's through Parks and Recreation, and they had no idea. And so that's something that I think that we can engage them and tap into those really ambassadors as families to tell others about the great things within the Parks and Recreation and things to do in Shawnee County. And then this was a tricky title, okay, Maturing Adults. We wanted to be, in all honesty though, we started looking at baby boom population, just the baby boomers. We looked at, but then there's a large senior population that we really want to make sure that we're accessing as well. And so we ended up with maturing adults because it really is a broad spectrum from age 55 and older, and how we reach those individuals within that category does need to be targeted, but that was kind of our third group. They also represent the greatest opportunity for increasing revenues and volunteering and giving back as they reach into those years as well. So I'm going to break it down because I know we don't have a lot of time, and I want to be respectful for that, and you do have the full report. As you look through your report, we tried to make it easy to where if there was a recommendation, you'll see a little plus sign with a box. So it if you don't want to read all of it, you can cut right to those pages. Website overhaul. I really can't stress this enough. And I'm kind of joking with meetyouThere.org, not really. Any good campaign really kind of has that catchy saying with our tagline being "Meet You There." Right now, the website, and I'm gonna actually prove this because I can't always remember it. It's like SCPR dot something recreation parks and so I should be less embarrassed about that. But it is hard to remember. It is even harder to find. Even the best search engine optimization is going to make it difficult to find that. So something that redefines what the website is, whether it's tying into something like this or even taking another look at what that domain is. That doesn't mean you have to shut down the other one. It just means some redirects and some things like that to better get people to it. The areas just represent all of your marketing. So everything that we talk about in this should be able to point back to a really strong website. And really one of the things that when we developed the guide was reduced in size so that we could point back to a great website where you have a few articles. You didn't have to have all the printing costs, and that it would go to the website. And what we soon found out is that we really weren't able to do that with the existing website. So why have a website overhaul? It really is, like I said, the heart of all communication. It increases engagement with the community. So people don't want to just come and look for information. They want to be able to sign up for things. They want to be able to be notified about things. They want to see little videos. They want to see all kinds of stuff that's happening virtually right there on your website. It also helps enhance credibility. If you've ever gone to a website that's a little less than what you were hoping when you got there, it's kind of like, well, I don't know. It says a lot about the organization itself, and so that enhancing the credibility of the great things that we have to do here in Shawnee County, I think, is important. Must be easy to navigate and find items. I don't know. There's been a number of times that we're all kind of going, now where is this? And you can do your search and find it there. Being mobile. Most websites now, of course, it's every day. There's a higher percentage of people that are actually on their handheld device, not on their laptop or their desktop, and so making sure that that's mobile and easy to use. And then also exploring app development. That's something that may, once you get a solid website, is something that you could look into next. How if someone's driving across the state and they want to stop into Topeka, how do they easily find things to do here? Maybe they're here for a ball tournament, and we want to make sure that we're cross-promoting things while they're here for the weekend. And so in some cases, an app development, a mobile app could be helpful there. And the thing I like about websites is that you can track results. So everything digital these days, whether it's your social media, your or your website will tell you where people are coming from and what they're doing while they're there. And so that's just not always something that you can get out of a box web platform. And so really making sure that as you're designing it, how are you tracking results and what is it that you're really looking for while people are there. So visible branding, we've talked about there have been some things that have been happening over the course of the past year. You're starting to see the logo and the tagline pop up throughout the community. But we have some next steps that I think would also be key. And one of those being signage. Now these are just samples of things that you could do in the park system, some wayfinding signs from everything from a smaller, hey, welcome to Collins Park, to something out at Lake Shawnee that has, a space for, getting people around the park. So maybe in some of your larger parks doing something like that. Again, these are just samples, pulling them from other communities and signs that we've seen and liked. But again, maintaining those bright, vibrant colors, kind of that excitement of, hey, you're here with, at a park facility or a park or a trail, and wanting to kind of play off that bright, vibrant feel that you get with Parks and Recreation and the new branding. I think we'd shown this one before, even taking, existing signs and upgrading them. Now, those signs they're cut from the back, so there are some things that you'd have to do to retrofit, but anyway, just kind of the idea of getting those, even if it was using current and existing signs, getting them brighter and vibrant and more of a bright welcome. We always said, like imagine in February when you're just trying to get, maybe it's me because I've got little ones, we are desperately like, it's time to go do something, let's get outside. And so even if it's 40 degrees, we're like, it's warm enough, let's go to Cage Park, and being welcomed by that bright blue sign would be a welcome sight, let me tell you. Even in the winter, everything else is dead and brown. Again, kind of extending the brand family. So one of the things that we found was that a lot of the material has different looks and feels, and even sub-logos and those types of things. And all we did here was just kind of playing on, and again, not really a strong recommendation that this is what these would look like, but we're just saying that you could still use the vibrant colors and ways to extend that brand family from the main logo and tagline. Brand hierarchy is also something we took some time to work on and work into the plan, which is this idea of whenever you have a new camp or when you have a program, trying to find ways to work that into the branding. If you've got another brand that's maybe a little bit more dominant, that has its own look and feel, at the very least brought to you by Shawnee County Parks and Recreation. So again, tagging everything that we do and just reminding people and being very consistent and methodical about how we brand and how we say, hey, we're proud of the things that we're doing, the events that we're sponsoring, the classes that we're having. This is kind of a sample in that top left of the existing collateral, just kind of a different look and feel. Again, the sample here isn't necessarily something that we say you should or have to go with. It's just something in the plan that we said, this is what it starts to look like when you have a consistent look and feel, so that if you go into a place where you've got rack cards, it feels that it's all pulled together and professional, and using photography, we might do something, these would be two-sided, but do something maybe that's even on one side, the full photograph of the rose garden or tulip time or those types of things. So there's a number of ways that you could handle that. So strategies and objectives, real quick, one of the things that we tried besides the places where you can see a plus with the box, in the back we tried to kind of bring it all together. So if you just wanted to flip through there, you'll see the demographic that we're trying to reach with the tactic. So that's families for F, YP, young professionals, maturing adults, MA. And then the objective, so which objective is this tactic reaching? And so you'll see that a lot of them are reaching all these people, but then there are some very specific ones that will reach individuals. I think at one point we had on there, kind of hosting a kickball tournament, something that's new to Parks and Recreation, but young professionals seem to be getting kind of excited about and back into. And so anyway, here's just a sample of those items in that part of the plan. But again, there are about 40 of these that we've recommended. And finally, kind of additional implementation, there are over 40 recommended tactics. The major website overhaul, there's going to be public relations that are tied to this, partnership management, community engagement, building awareness, increased revenue, all these different things that we're suggesting that we do as part of this plan. and it really does need adequate support. I mentioned before I come from a background at the state of Kansas, and one of the worst things that we could do is we've got a number of, I remember a number of plans and reports that sat on bookshelves, and people are like, whatever happened with that? And so, I just really encourage that we have adequate support for this, whether it's the website resources, so technology-based support, staffing support. I know that we've got, a very limited staff out at Parks and Recreation. And believe it or not, they did not tell me to add this. This is coming back from my, my experience. And really, truly, there's a lot to do. There's a lot to be proud of. There's a lot to promote within Shawnee County, and it's really hard to do that with a one-person, two-person shop and not with the technology that is adequate to support it. So that's kind of my high-level report out of the plan. I don't know if there are any questions, but anyway, again, we just really enjoyed this project, and thank you so much for letting us be part of it.
Great, thank you, Caleb. Any questions of the commission? Commissioner Cook?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate the brand development and the signs and logos. I think it's a very bright, vibrant color. I think that it does jump out. It's something that John Knight and I have talked about. Our signage really needs updated. When we did the consolidation, obviously there was more focus on the consolidation than actually the signage getting to the locations. And so we have signs in differing stages, differing eras, differing repairs, and they all have that nice brown blending into the background color. So I think something that jumps out is something that would be welcomed in a lot of our parks and opportunities. Can you touch on that mobile engagement part as we do have more and more people using cell phones and smartphones? Is that something that Sprout Communications would work on? Is that something that we would look at hiring out? How do we coordinate that so you have that seamless look between, so it doesn't become disjointed?
Sure. Well, our contract ran through March, so I don't remember if there were extensions or those types of things necessarily in it, but that is certainly something that our team does. We have partner organizations that we work with a lot of times kind of under our umbrella to make sure that things continue to be consistent with the planning that we've proposed. But yeah, I think that's something, we were just talking a little bit at the Department of Commerce. Sometimes we had, other opportunities to go outside of our government infrastructure because of the speed of which to get a new website up and running, or some of the parameters that we had with printing or promo items or whatever. And so that's something that we really did we had a good mixture of an internal team, a very strong internal team at the Department of Commerce, but we did use external vendors a lot of times to kind of help come alongside and truly partner. We weren't always pleased with the ones that came in and said, well, here's what we're going to do, or what you have to do, or what you need to do, but it really was a partnership between that entity who we'd hired and our internal folks. So, yes, I would love to continue to help if that's something that would, but we really looked at this as we wrapped it up in March, but we do believe that mobile engagement is going to be key. Being able to not only just see what's happening this weekend, for example, but go, oh, I want to go do that, and be able to make another click and sign up for it, or to pay for it, or whatever, or say I want more interaction. Some of the things we didn't hit on even through, would be social media and digital engagement, and all that needs to be connected together in some way, so that it's not fragmented, that it's not something that, do I go to Facebook or Instagram to get this information versus the website? And in some cases, there have been workarounds so that we could quickly get information out. There's a good following on Shawnee County Parks and Recreation, so there's, there is a good foundation, I think, built there. It's just really having the right tools and building those tools out to tap into it. But we started to see app development in other communities. I think I get something from Olathe every now and then. My wife is from there, and so it can be helpful if it's done right. There are other vendors that even provide, if you can find the right one, a template and able to be able to go into that and make that work. But I think the big thing is integration. You can go and, like I said, get something off the shelf, and if it's not integrated with the things that you're doing over here, or easily, a lot of times there can be workarounds to integrate. But I think that's probably the next key thing is, once you have this, make sure that it's not fragmented, that it's a unified brand. There's a unified voice that's coming from Parks and Recreation in Shawnee County.
Thank you. Commissioner Archer, again.
I was just going to say, like the Quality of Life Department a lot. And I know John Knight had spoken to Matt Bavarnik, our new CEO of the Chamber of Commerce, in discussing Parks and Rec and our quality of life. And Matt said to John, quality of life is economic development. I like that a lot, because economic development, jobs, capital investment in our community is very, very important. So, thank you, Caleb. Good job.
I'm smiling just because I was at the Leadership Greater Topeka luncheon, and Matt mentioned that he had talked with you, and he mentioned to me that we only need $1 billion and we can get a lot done. So, just $1 billion. Just $1 billion. I might have a follow-up question for John as far as just on budget. I know you all are finishing up budgets and going to be presenting them to us. We have not seen those budgets yet, but as far as next steps, what are included, what's included in your budget in regards to this?
Yeah, we've tried to work in some of the recommendations that
Okay.
that he's had in here. I do know the financial constraints that not only Shawnee County, but all the small local governments have been put under, all of those type of things. But at the same time, if we don't push, if we don't move forward on these type of things, then we don't produce the revenues and have the numbers of people participating in the program. So I want to make sure that the ball is rolling that way. You'll see those type of things. I've also tried to address some technology type things, and I've had numerous conversations with Pat O'Blender in the IT department. I know that we're on their list too to begin looking at some of these kind of things. And as Caleb mentioned, there's times in which we may, as Parks and Rec, we don't want to be treated any different than any other departments we have, but sometimes we are different, and in those kind of cases, we might have to. With the business component of some of this kind of stuff, maybe we need to turn around quicker, and if we can have some of those kind of things built in our budget to where we could assist IT in turning around some of these types of websites and making those type of changes, I've tried to work some of that into our budget, as well as some technology
Good.
type things.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, thank you very
All
much.
right, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Work. Next
Item
item,
3,
please.
consent agenda.
Are there questions on the consent agenda?
I would move for approval.
Okay, there's a motion by Commissioner Cook,
Second.
second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries 3-0.
Item 4, new business. A, County Clerk number 1, consider all voucher payments.
Madam Chair, this morning we have one voucher report dated May 13th, 2016. Total amount of vouchers, $1,004,388.03. Significant items on the voucher report include health agency building construction of $243,000, holding accounts for the state of $470,000, and health insurance for $108,000. My questions have been answered, and I'll make a motion to approve the vouchers as presented.
Thank you. There's a motion by Commissioner Archer.
Second.
Questions or a second? Second by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries 3-0.
Item A2, consider correction orders.
I'll move approval. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries 3-0.
Item B, Sheriff's Office number 1, consider authorization and execution of contract C-151-2016 with Ricky Mills for pre-employment and background investigations at a cost of $300 per investigation and the cost of expenses not to exceed $100.
Good morning, Commission.
Morning.
Herman Jones, Sheriff, Shawnee County. What you have before you is basically contract. The first one shows with Ricky Mills. He's retired Topeka Police Department. Actually, he was a supervisor over there, investigator. And what we have found is that when we have our own staff do backgrounds, it uses a lot of, maximizes some time for them. At the same time, they're interfered with court and other duties that they have. So what we're trying to do is maximize the efficiency of that by having someone, a trained investigator, do this. Therefore, we can put our officers out on the streets and we can have someone do the investigations on that. So that's where this contract comes. And at the same time, we've had some great success with them. So what we've done with this contract is just moved it out further instead of just 1 year, just move it multiple years in that. Any
Okay.
questions?
Thank you. Are there questions?
I would move for acknowledgement of the contract and authorization of payment of the contract. One motion.
Motion by Commissioner Cook,
Second.
second by Commissioner Archer. All those in favor say aye. Anyone opposed, motion carries 3-0.
Item B2, consider authorization and execution of contract C-152-2016 with Randy Mills for pre-employment background investigation at a cost of $300 per investigation and the cost of expenses not to exceed $100.
Once again, Sheriff, Shawnee County. This also is just another contract with utilizing another investigator. Both of these individuals, retired law enforcement, trained in investigations, those type of things right there. And basically, it utilizes these two individuals. So when we have multiple backgrounds that need to be done, we can use these two individuals. So it's basically the same as what we talked about before.
I thought it was a typo at first, but Jane assured me 2 people, so yeah, okay. All right. Questions?
And again, I would motion to acknowledge the receipt of the contract and authorization payment of the contract.
Motion by Commissioner Cook.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye. Anyone opposed, motion carries 3-0.
Item B3, acknowledge receipt of correspondence from Sheriff Jones regarding the award of a bid to for ballistic vests to Basingers Police Supply at a cost of $755 per vest, 9 vests in 2017, 24 vests in 2018, and 4 vests in 2019.
Same thing, Sheriff Jones. What you have here is basically, we're just looking for the renew of our ballistic vests for our officers there. Ballistic vests have a duration of X amount of years, 3, 4, 5 years or so. And in doing so, we replace those, and instead of all of them at the same time, there's a plan where we replace so many each year. And what we have here is just replacing the ones that have been outdated. And at the same time, what we do is we collaborate with the officers so they can test them and do kind of field testing, or just they can vote on which one, so they have input as well.
So that was 9 vests in 2017, 24, and 18, and 14 in 2019, is that correct? Okay.
I'll
Thank you.
move to
Questions?
acknowledge receipt of the correspondence from the Sheriff's Office.
There's a motion by Commissioner Archer,
Second.
second by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Anyone opposed, motion carries 3-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Item C, elections. Number 1, consider approval of request to award the bid for printing and delivery of election ballots to Mainline Printing at an estimated cost of $85,000.
Good morning, Commissioners. Andrew Howell, Shawnee County Election Commissioner.
Good morning.
The first item before you here is the mainline bid, which we're recommending. They were actually the only bidder. They've done a good job. We think they do excellent work. I just want to point out, too, actually, it's more than just a printing bid. There are a lot of services that actually go along with that bid. The ballots are wrapped individually. They're delivered to us in a kind of a sequenced manner. There's over 400 different ballot styles that have to be separated and can't be incorrect. So there are actually a lot of services that go along with that as well. So we do recommend the acceptance of that bid.
Thank you. Questions?
Move to accept the bid.
Motion by Commissioner Cook,
Second.
second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye. Anyone opposed, motion carries 3-0.
Item C2, consider approval of request to award the bid for delivery of election equipment to Kansas Van and Storage at an estimated cost of $26,260.
As you know, we've got new election equipment this year, so our processes are changing just a little bit. It's critical that we have the correct equipment brought to the correct location. So there's a lot of kind of important things that we have to do to make sure that there are enough trucks and enough people, and that the timing is going to be a little more critical than it used to be in the past if that's managed correctly. We have 3 different bidders. We're recommending Kansas Van and Storage. It's slightly more expensive, but we believe their capacity and capability is better. They have more trucks that are larger than the nearest bid, and they've done a good job in the past. And frankly, in our opinion, they did a better job of trying to understand the detailed needs that the office has. So we recommend them for it. to be accepted.
Thank you. Questions or motion?
Move to approve the request.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Archer, second by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries 3-0. And tell us when those upcoming elections are.
August the 2nd is the primary. June the 1st is the filing deadline for anyone that wants to be on the August ballot. And also keep in mind, if any member of the public wishes to change parties due to the new law, they will have to have that completed by June the 1st as well. Those are the critical upcoming dates.
General election.
November 8th. Yeah, we've been studying calendars, and I'm looking at a lot of different November dates for out years, but November 8th is the general election date.
And how's the campaign for poll workers going?
We are still needing, I think, 250. We're about 250 yet, so we have a ways to go. So I'm sure we'll be visiting in the days ahead and actively working at trying to find more poll workers.
Good.
Sometime I'm sure we'll have a conversation with commissioners about pay for poll workers. But we have decided not to address that this year. We know the county's, again, facing some heavy expenditures. So,
Okay. All right.
thanks.
Thanks.
Item 5, administrative communications.
Anyone have administrative communications at this time? Sure.
Hi there, me again, Sheriff. I just want to make it known that May 15th is the start of National Law Enforcement Memorial Week. May 15th is actually the Memorial Day, but that was enacted in 1962 by President Kennedy to bring recognition to law enforcement officers that have fallen in the line of duty. And currently in Washington, D.C., there are several events. It's basically a collaboration from FOP, auxiliaries, from other organizations such as that to bring recognition and also to help those heal those survivors. So you have concerns for police survivors, family members, friends, those types of things right there. There's certain conference items that help them deal with that healing of that. So that's going on right now in Washington, D.C. As of 2015, there were 123 officers that had fallen in the line of duty. And we really have a push in the law enforcement community to try and get that number down each year. There's a bit where we're trying to get under 100, so we can keep working through that. Right now, on the scrolls for this year, there have been 36 officers that have fallen in the line of duty. We obviously know back on May the 9th, we had a detective in Kansas City, Kansas that was murdered in the line of duty from his courageous acts that we have right there. So we're always mindful of those type of things and to realize the risk that these men and women take on. So I just want to bring that out and just be thoughtful of the families that are dealing with that throughout the year.
Thank you. Anyone else for administrative communications? John?
Good morning, Commissioner. John Knight, Parks and Recreation. Today, 2 o'clock or so, because I think we'll have to maybe have to dodge some raindrops out there. But we're having the Topeka Train Robbers, the new professional baseball team that's come to Topeka, having a ribbon cutting out at the Bettis Family Sports Complex out at Lake Shawnee. This is the first professional baseball in Topeka since 1961. So it's an exciting time as they get started. They've had a couple of exhibition games, and they're saving their best baseball because they lost both of them. But they're saving their best until the actual season starts here, and that'll be this Friday.
This
So
Friday.
welcome everybody to come out to that ribbon cutting, and also then to the first pitch this Friday at 7 o'clock.
Who they play?
I don't know who they play.
Roswell Invaders.
Roswell Invaders. All right. Thank you, Commissioners.
Thanks.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jeff Shabine, Kansas Expo Center. We had a great weekend, a lot of graduations and the horse show. But I do want to let you know, this Thursday, we're going to be making a special announcement about a new program that we're going to be doing at the Expo Center. That's all I'm going to say right
Okay,
now. Thank you.
all right. Anyone else? Commissioners? No?
Nope.
A reminder, the Intergovernmental Cooperation Council meets tomorrow at 7:30 at Washburn University. That's the taxing entities in Shawnee County. We meet, this is our last meeting until the fall, so they don't meet during the summer. And then we have a JADO meeting on Wednesday, the 18th at 6 o'clock p.m. We will be entertaining approval of another incentive for a company, so looking forward to that. And I think that's all I have.
Item 6, executive session.
And we will adjourn into executive session to continue our employee or department head evaluations. So we had that scheduled for 10 o'clock, but I don't see any reason why we couldn't just go ahead and go into that and, yeah, okay. And then we would come back at 12 o'clock, correct, Jane? Okay, right. And we do need a motion to resolve into executive session and to reconvene at 12 o'clock.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Archer.
Second.
Second by Commissioner sorry, non-elected personnel. All those in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries 3-0. So we won't do this to you anymore. We're finished after this, so.
Are you ready?
Yes, we are. We are back in session, no action required, and we are adjourned.
Thank you.